Welcome back to another market breakdown. And this week we are doing things a little bit differently. So you guys may have seen me post this on social media, but from last week I have made the very difficult and heartbreaking decision to step away from trading purely GBPUSD for a number of reasons. Firstly being, GU is moving like an absolute bag of right now, and I don't have the mental capacity for it. So you guys will know at the beginning of the year I made a lot of money trading purely GBPUSD. But we've just got to a point where it's just not doing anything for me. Like, I am searching high and low to try and find something that fits my strategy. And it's just not there. It's just not there. I am going down and searching for trades on time frames that I strictly find entries on, not setups. Yes, I'm talking like 5 minute, 1 minute. Like, what? I know better. But because my mind is like, there has to be something here. Like, that surely there's something. Like, GBPUSD is beautiful. Why is there nothing there? So I have just had to take a step back and be like, right, there actually is nothing there. Like, why am I even bothering trying to trade this? There are how many other pairs out there to trade and find setups on? Why am I so focused on this one pair? Yes, GU, you have made me a lot of money, but it has come to the time where we part ways. We part ways because I just can't do this. I can't do this. So I have decided to just go back to what I used to do pre-prop firms. Yes, I have been around that long. I have been in the markets for over a decade. Before prop firms were a thing, I used to analyse a range of different pairs. So like 5 to 10 pairs I would be analysing. And that worked great. But as soon as I started trading on prop firms, I tended to just stick to like 1 to 2 pairs. So when I think about it, the only pairs I've ever actually traded on prop firms has been GU, GJ and EJ. I've never traded anything else on prop firms, and it's got to the point where I'm like, why not? They're there for a reason. They're there to be traded. And I'm a great trader, so I need to stop focusing on just one pair. So that is what we are doing now. So I'm very excited. I feel like I've got like a spark back for trading. I've got that excitement back for trading again, and I'm really happy that I have finally made this decision and started trading smarter, not harder, because GU, you are making my life very hard over the last 3 months. So I have decided that I'm going back to some of the pairs that I used to trade pre-prop firms. Number 1 being oil. So pre-prop firms, pre-COVID, I was a huge fan of trading oil, and I made a lot of money, probably the most money I made on a personal account trading oil. Aside from Bitcoin, but we all know my history with trading cryptos. I lost it all. It was traumatic. But oil, we made some good money. But then, of course, 2020 came, COVID happened, and oil plummeted to absolutely zero. And I vowed to never trade it ever again. Pretty much the same with gold. But oil is a little less volatile. Well, to be fair, oil isn't actually that volatile in comparison to gold. So it's very safe to trade. And yeah, I'm quite excited to get back into this. So the start of last week, I didn't even look at the charts. I was like, I'm not doing this. I need to like a mental refresh. And that is when I said, right, okay, we are going back to what I used to do, back to what I started with, and we are going to be trading a range of different pairs. I used to trade like 5 to 10 different pairs. So that is what we're going back to, because I just think that the best traders in the world have different pairs they trade. They don't just focus on one thing. And I know I'm a great trader, but me trying to continuously trade GU is just not working, and I need to stop that and just step back and realise that there are other pairs that are there to be traded. So that's what we're going to do. So first thing I'm looking at this week is going to be oil. So oil, I haven't really looked at this that much, but as soon as I opened up the daily chart, I could see that we had something. So if you guys have watched any of my breakdowns, you will know that I trade both strategy but also paired with discretion. So I have my general strategy, but then sometimes I will use discretion to just kind of give me that extra little edge. So discretion is basically just, I've been in the markets for so many years, I've seen so many patterns play out time and time again, and I kind of just know what to expect when I see certain things. So this being one of them. So it's hard to explain discretion, but I will do my best before we actually get into like my strategy and why I've actually taken this trade. So this for me is discretion. So we've had this huge wick to the downside and then a huge bullish engulfing candle back to the upside. We've then kind of moved sideways. We've had this attempt to push lower, but this is where the discretion comes in. So this push to go lower and then a failure and back up to like this resistance area here. This is why I'm thinking we are very much suited for longs. So obviously I am just looking at this now. I probably wouldn't have got into anything until now. So I think I'm very much a person who believes in like things happen for a reason, and this setup appeared perfectly as soon as I started looking at oil again. So worked this out on the daily. I can see we've got this area here of support / resistance, and we've also got this area here of resistance. So that's that. This was the discretionary element. I could see that we've tried to push back down, but we failed to break below the wick to the left before we've had this push back up to the upside. That's the discretionary element. Then I step down to the 4 hour and I can see, right, okay, so we've started to make higher highs and higher lows. So this being here. So as I mentioned, we have this resistance area here. You can see we used it as support over here. So we can see that this is a very good key level of support, and both support and resistance. I can then see we've had this huge push up, and then when I've started looking at the market, we are somewhere around here. So I can see we've had this push up back to this very, very identifiable key level of resistance. And then I can also see that we've had this push down. So this is where my strategy comes into play. So I have simply drawn my Fibonacci. Again, you guys know I love a fib. Fibs are my most used element of trading. Support and resistance and fibs. Like, you will never take those away from me. That is me. That's my strategy. So I can see we've had this push up and then we've had this pullback to the downside. So all I've done, I've drawn a fib from here where we've had this like higher low up to the new higher high. So this is the A, the B, and then straight away, as soon as I drew this on, I could see that we had rejected the 61.8% level on this 4 hour. I then stepped down to the 1 hour to see, okay, what's going on here? Like, do we have a good reaction from there? What can we see? So I happened to look at this, as I said, on Thursday. It would have been around 11, 12 o'clock. So I can see we have a key level of support and resistance. We also have that matches up with a fib to absolute perfection. And then from that, we also have the bullish engulfing 1 hour candle off of this 61.8%. Perfect. Absolute perfection. I said, I'm wasting no time. I am getting in on this. So that is what I did. So I got in, as you can see, my entry was around here. Now, one thing I will say is working out my lot sizes on prop firms. So I use an app called FX Calculators to work out my lot sizes. I believe oil wasn't, I don't think oil's a thing on there. I can't remember. It was either not a thing on there or it just wasn't making sense in the lot size it was giving me. So I first entered with one lot and I quickly realised that, okay, we're not really moving here. Like, I feel like I'm using like a 0.1. So I then placed a 5 lot on top of that. So we're currently in a trade using 6 lots. So that's just what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And it's working so far. So that is the setup. That is the setup. Support and resistance with a fib, a little bit of discretion on the higher time frame, and a candlestick. That's literally it. That is literally it. I was a little bit nervous on this trade at first because I'm like, number one, I haven't traded oil in so long. I could see that we'd had this push up, but then we came to like this tiny piece of resistance here, and then we started pushing back down. But I'm like, no, I'm holding this because there's just something about this that I like, and it just seems very clean. We have confluences. I'm happy to stay in this. So as you can see, my target is the fib extension at the minus 27%. So this would be a full fib move. And quite a good entry, if I do say so myself. So I need to go back to how like the pips work in oil because I cannot remember for the life of me. With oil and gold, I'm like, how the hell do these pips work? So I am going to go back and have a look because I can't remember. When it comes to FX pairs, I know everything. But commodities, I'm a little bit like, I'm not sure. But regardless, I traded my strategy paired with a little bit of discretion that I have just from being in the markets for so bloody long. And yeah, we're sat in this trade. I have held this trade over the weekend because I just have so much conviction in it. I haven't held a trade over the weekend in, I couldn't even tell you the last time I held a trade over the weekend. But that is what we're doing and that is where we are. And it is literally as simple as that. Support and resistance, a Fibonacci, and a candlestick. That is it. That is it. Trading does not have to be overcomplicated, guys. But anyway, I will keep you updated with this trade and let you guys know how it goes. So, in other news, we're going to have a look at some other pairs. So, dollar index. We can see that this is just very, very, very messy right now. I don't know why my key levels are so ugly on this. I'm going to go to the monthly. I need to, you can just see like my growth with how I analyze the charts like over the years. Like, I don't know how long this has been on here, but we've grown. We do lighter colours now, guys. So yeah, so levels haven't really changed from the monthly and pretty much the weekly. We are literally just bouncing across levels on the dollar right now. A lot of indecision. So obviously we have broken below this key level here. And we've had this like push up, which of course has been pushing like GU and EU down. But again, with those pairs, there's nothing really there to like give conviction on any trades. So big up anyone who has been trading them because boy oh boy, it has been stressful. Daily. So bouncing from this key level here, we have started to make higher highs and higher lows. So currently, dollar is bullish. So whether Trump has, whether Trump has a plan for the dollar, whether this was a lot of manipulation, because as you can see, literally from the start of the year, we've been dropping. So whether this was manipulation on Trump's part, we just don't know. But from a technical perspective, we are clearly making now higher highs and higher lows. So this will be interesting to watch out for. But obviously, looking at the dollar index, this does correlate with obviously every dollar pair we're trading. So GU, EU, USD CAD, USD JPY. I can't think of any other dollar pairs right now. But also gold, it will correlate a lot with gold. So again, very interesting to see what will happen with the dollar, because obviously this will influence a lot of our pairs. So that is pretty much it. We have somewhat of a bullish bias after a huge drop the entire year. GJ. So again, you guys will know from watching my previous market breakdowns that GJ just hasn't really been that cute. This was a pair I traded heavily back in like 22, 23. And I don't trade it at all now. I don't trade it. But on the daily, you can see that we are making higher highs and higher lows. We are bullish. That is evident. Looking at the 4 hour again, as I already mentioned, this like inverse head and shoulder that we have over here, and we have been pretty much bullish since then. So again, big up the inverse head and shoulder, because you guys know inverse head and shoulder or head and shoulder, I am here for it. We love to see it, and that has held to absolute perfection. So we did gap up on market open last week, and we have now filled that gap. So whether this is just coming back down for a fib, that would be interesting to see. So what I would be looking for is maybe something like this. Maybe coming back down to tap this 78.6%, which obviously would make sense because we do have previous resistance over here that we could be retesting as support. So that is something that I will be watching out for this week. No trades as of yet, and I'm not going to go any further down to try and search for anything. I am definitely learning that higher time frames are key, and then we only want to go down to lower time frames to simply find our entries. And of course, all of the things that we see on higher time frames, such as the support and the resistance, the head and shoulders formations, the fibs, you will get on lower time frames, but the higher time frame bias is really what we want. So at the moment, from the 4 hour, there's literally nothing for us. So we move on to the next pair. EURJPY, again, pretty much the same as GJ. I did mention last week that I would be looking for something like this. Coming back down to, again, this 78.6% area, because we do have a lot of liquidity in this area, as you can see, very wicky all through this kind of key level. And we always like to see a key level that matches up with a fib. So that is something that I will be looking at. I will just zoom out to the daily just to have a look. See, daily does look very bearish, but again, we are overall still in a bullish trend. So if we can get some type of reaction from this 78.6% level, then that is definitely something that I would like to take. Obviously, I'd be waiting for the 4 hour to kind of give me something, wait for that reaction, and then I would step down to the 1 hour to see if we did have an entry. So from there, I'd be looking for like a bullish engulfing, maybe an inverse head and shoulder, something to give us that indication that there will be a trade here. So again, EURJPY, nothing as of yet that I would be looking to get into. So we move to the next pair. Gold. So this is actually an interesting one, and this is one that I was quite interested in last week, to be honest. So gold. So as you can see, we are very, very bullish still on gold. Although we have had a little bit of a pullback this week, which I took the opportunity to get a fib on. So simply, there is no need to go back down to gold, because we know it is just bullish as hell. Like, it's bullish. That's all we need. There's been no pullbacks. We want a pullback, but there isn't any. However, the dollar now having this little push up is kind of like, will we have that? Who knows? But yes, so we've had this push up, and then we've started to have this little bit of a decline. So again, I get my trusty fib, draw from the A to the B, and we've had that perfect reaction from the 70.9%. Not only that, so we've had this clear rejection. I'll step down to the 1 hour for this just so you can see a little bit clearer. So you can see we've had that perfect reaction with a bullish engulfing on the 1 hour on the 70.9%, but then we've had this pullback, which is kind of like, this is for me, it's like gold is like, it's given us another chance because we didn't get in. And it's also more of a confirmation that this is the direction that we're going in, because this essentially makes a new high, and this essentially makes a new higher low. So from here, I would be expecting a higher high. But if I get my trusted fib, again, you will see that A, B, C, we have again rejected the 70.9% absolutely perfectly. And then we have started pushing up again. So for me, gold, bullish this week. I, of course, don't trade gold personally. May have a look at getting an entry, because I think I need to stop telling myself that I'm scared of these pairs, simply because of like COVID PTSD, and we need to get over it. So that's what we're going to try and do. So that is gold. I am expecting some bullishness. My nose is running, guys. I woke up with a cold today, and yeah, it's just not cute. But yeah, anyway, so USD JPY. I'm going to go down to the weekly, because we've got our monthly key levels. We don't always need to keep going down to the monthly, guys. Like, there's just no need. Weekly candle closure is all we kind of really want to see. However, USD JPY hasn't really given us much for weeks. Like, we've just been stuck in this since early 2024. There's not really any directional bias. Although, as I mentioned last week, we do have this triple bottom here, which for me is an indication for more bullish momentum. I have mentioned that on the dollar index, we are looking quite bullish. So, of course, that would obviously follow over to USD JPY. It is also worth noting that the yen has been declining since forever. All the yen pairs have been bullish, which is why I haven't traded them, because we just haven't had a pullback. Japan has had intervention. There's just a lot been going on with the yen. So obviously yen declining, dollar index looking bullish right now, making higher highs and higher lows. It just kind of makes sense that we would be looking for bullish momentum on USD JPY. So given that we do also have this triple bottom, it would also make sense that this would be bullish. My child has decided to join me, so 1 second, guys. So yes, as I was saying, so it would make sense that USD JPY would also be bullish, also given the fact that we do have this triple bottom on the daily and the weekly. And then if we look at even the daily, but more so the 4 hour, you can see that we are making these higher highs and higher lows, higher highs, higher low, higher high. We also have a beautiful inverse head and shoulder. I hope you guys said that before I even said it, because that's how I know you're watching. We have this beautiful inverse head and shoulder. So left shoulder, head, and the right shoulder, push up, break of the neckline. We've then come down and made a new high. So I am going to get a fib. It doesn't look like a fib from visualization. I don't tend to use the 88.8% that often, but it is there. It is there. And funnily enough, I think I got this 88.8% off of I'm pretty sure it was an FTMO interview, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. This guy was trading gold, and he was quite young, if I remember correctly. And he was trading gold, and he swore by this 88.8% level. So I added it to my chart, the same way the 70.9% is one that most people don't have. So added this on. There we go. It has fulfilled the fib. We've got the A, the B, the C. It has extended. Fair. But that is a complete fib. So what we would be looking at now is something along the lines of this. So, of course, if you're new here, what was once the A now becomes the C. What was once the C now becomes the A. So, of course, it was A, B, C. But now, of course, this becomes the A. So, it's A, B, and then obviously the retracement would be the C. So, I would like to see a retracement back to maybe 144, 143.6 level. But again, that will be something that we're waiting for. Nothing as of yet. I'm not going to try to jump in anything. That is what we will be anticipating. If we see it, we will get in. If we don't see it, we don't get in. That is the simpleness of it. Now, my old friend, It has given us nothing. Absolutely. I mean, just look at this price action, guys. Like, we've been bullish since the start of the year, which again, confluences with the fact the dollar index has been bullish for the entire year. So, bullish, 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 bullish. Managed to catch a lot of money up until right here. I think this is where I started to lose money because I expected this to be a fib and it wasn't, and we just kept pushing and my brain was like, what is going on? This wasn't supposed to happen. But this is what happens when you trade one pair. You get stuck in a bias and then your brain goes crazy. So that is what happened. So anyway, we have now come up to a level of resistance, which I mentioned time and time again that I was expecting some kind of reaction from here. I just didn't expect it to react and react and react and react and react. You know, like, give us something, just drop, please, do something. So you can see, last week we did drop. This was on Monday. So Monday we dropped off a cliff and then we hit this like support level, and I've drawn it as a horizontal ray because we've hit the top of this, what was once resistance, which is now kind of being retested as support, and very, very strong support. So it rejected off of this very strongly. If I go down to the daily, so you can see completely rejected, and then we had a bullish engulfing on the Tuesday, which fully engulfed the entire move, and I was just like, I thought we were going to be going lower now, but now I'm like, I don't actually know what the hell is going on. So this is kind of just where we're at. So there's actually nothing here, guys. Like, there's actually absolutely nothing. We've kind of got like this wonky like head and shoulder on the 4 hour, but I don't like it. I do not like it. It's not a fib. So if I show you, if I draw a fib on here to there, you can see like it has tapped that 78. Okay, no, I'm absolutely lying. It did absolutely tap that 78.6. But I think I was just so stuck in like, we've got this triple bottom, and then we've got like the bullish engulfing, and then there was just a lot of noise and a lot of confusion in what the hell this was gonna do. Which is why I just haven't been trading it. I've just been so like, what the hell is going on with this? But now, looking back, I can clearly see there was a fib. And I thought there wasn't. Is that fib drawn properly? Yeah, so there is. There was an absolute perfect fib. It was there. Yeah, here. Perfection, actually. But I was just stuck in my bias. So let's have a look at the rest of this. So we've had the A, the B, the C completely come back down and actually tapped the extension to absolute perfection, and I'm really, really annoyed with myself that I got so stuck in my head that I didn't see this. But you win some, you lose some. Some days you need a lesson to just get out of a bad habit, and GU was a bad habit. So there we go. But yeah, we've had the A, the B, the C, and then we've had that fulfilled D extension. So now what I would be looking at is, of course, the C now becomes the A. So that rejection from that 78.6 now becomes the A. So we've got A, B, and then the C. So we have closed below on the 4 hour. 1 hour just isn't looking very pretty for me. So this isn't something that I would be in anyway. If I had the sense and was watching this, then I maybe would have caught that. But again, this price action down here just was not cute at all. So this wouldn't be something I'd get in, because as you can see, we have actually closed above the 78.6. So that would be invalid for me. But of course, price has pushed down, pushed back up, and then we are looking to push back down again. So it will be staying on my list, but I think I've just got a little bit of trauma from GU over the last couple of months. So I'm just not looking at it as heavily, or at least just not being so focused on it. If we see a setup, we will take it. If we don't, then we won't take it. It's as simple as that. So that is pretty much it for GU. Obviously with dollar index, as we've mentioned, pushing back up again, this may be the cue for GU to start pushing down. But this whole price action throughout the entirety of April and May has just not been cute. So yeah, we're not going to be focusing on that any longer. USD CAD. Again, this used to be one of my favourites when I traded this back in the day. Pre-COVID. There were trading days before COVID, guys. I feel like a lot of people in this industry now came in like during COVID, but there was a lot of us here before that, okay? So, USD CAD. This is very, very choppy. Now, I used to love GBP... I can't even talk. I used to love USD CAD, and fun fact, I don't actually think it correlates as much anymore, but back in when I was trading it, USD CAD correlated a lot with oil. Something to do with Canada's purchasing of oil. I can't quite remember. I'm not a fundamental queen, not a fundamental expert, not trying to be. I just remember there was that confluence, and that is that. So in terms of levels on USD CAD, I haven't really got many. Because as you can see, it's not the clearest, and I'm not going to try and force levels, but on the lower time frames we can try to we can see little bits here and there, so that's what we're going to do. So as you can see on the weekly, I have got this level here because we've had the tap here, a tap up here, and we've got that little bit of like confusion here. But what I am looking at is the fact that we have started to make higher lows and this massive higher high. So of course we have coming down and we are making a new higher low. Again, USD CAD, dollar index looks like it is bullish right now. So obviously it would make sense for USD CAD to also be bullish. So I have got, of course, as always, my trusted fib. And I'm actually going to modify this. Am I going to modify this? No, I think I'm going to keep it there, to be honest. So if I drag it down, then it invalidates the fib. But this is kind of like a fib on its own on the daily. So we've had the push up, the pull back, and then we haven't really pulled back since. So if I draw it from there, it just makes a lot more sense. And with fib, guys, it doesn't always have to be perfect. Sometimes it will be from like a lower time frame fib, if that makes sense. So obviously this is on the daily, but down here on the 4 hour, this would have made a lot of sense. You just have to draw it somewhere to where it kind of makes sense. And as you can see, it has reacted off this 78.6% level. We've got this somewhat of not a fully bullish engulfing, but a bullish candle from the daily, and then obviously followed by a hugely bullish candle again on the daily. We've had that little bit of a pullback, and then we're pushing up. Would like to see more of a pullback and then a fib from there to kind of give me a little bit more confidence in this move. Nothing that I would be getting into right now, but this is kind of what we're looking at. So what I would like to see from this, looking on the 4 hour, would be something along the lines of this. So we've had this push from the 78.6. Now I would want to see maybe a push down back to this 61.8% level, because you can see we do have some support and resistance around there as well. So that would make perfect sense for my strategy in that kind of sense. So we've had this huge push down. We haven't had that huge push down. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this push down, and then from there await a reaction and see if we can push to the upside. So again, on this, if we do come down to here, I will be awaiting like a bullish engulfing, a head and shoulders, just something to kind of give us that confirmation that that is what we're expecting. So yeah, that is pretty much it on USD CAD. GA, there wasn't really anything. GA is very, very choppy, and this isn't really something that I will be paying much attention to at the moment. Let me have a look. So overall we are quite bullish, but there's not really anything for me that I would be like excited to look at. Nothing really at the moment. It does look bullish, but it's just not pretty enough for me right now. So not what I want to be looking at. EU, pretty much the same as GU. However, EU is giving a lot more sense right now than GU, which makes a change. Guys, you guys know I've not been a fan of EU. I'm not a fan. But this looks quite good. This looks quite nice. So EU, on the monthly, you can see I've had this fib drawn on for the longest. So we've got the A, the B, the C retracement, and then we started to push up. And of course, I'm awaiting this D retracement. So if we step down to the weekly, you can just see a little bit clearer that we have had multiple rejections from this 61.8% level. If we go down to then the daily, we can see that again, we've had rejections from this level, and we have been making higher highs, higher lows, and higher highs, and now maybe this is just going to be a higher low. However, as I've mentioned, I am expecting bullish momentum on the dollar. So GU looks like it could be primed for a drop down, but EU to me looks a lot more bullish. So again, this isn't something that I would be going for because the confluences on the other pairs are kind of showing me the opposite direction right now. So this just kind of gives me even more reason to be staying away from GU or EU because it's just not, it's not giving me anything right now. I'm glad I'm in oil because oil feels like a safe place for me to be right now. But if I was looking for anything on this EU move, it would probably be something like this. But again, we didn't have like a full pullback here. So what we may see is more something along the lines of this. So we've got the A, the B, we might come down, retap. We may even come down to this 78.6%, which again may help the GU push down and the dollar index push up. Not help, but confluence. And then maybe have a reaction here before we make a new leg higher. That is something that I will be watching out for. I keep stopping myself from yawning, guys. I'm just so tired. But yeah, that is something that I may be looking for. But again, we will wait and see. I'm not trying to get in anything. May take a while for it to get to there, but the market rewards patience, and that is what we're going to do. So that is pretty much it. GBP CAD isn't really anything that I want to look at right now. AU is not anything that I want to look at right now. US30 can just absolutely... yeah, no, not for me. But of course, oil is the one that we are in right now. Market opens in just over 5 minutes, I think. I can't remember if oil opens at 11. Can't remember, but FX pairs, the FX market opens in 7 minutes, UK time, and yeah. That is pretty much it for this week, guys. Of course, these types of setups I am dropping in our community several times a week now. I am going to try and get one in every day to kind of give an update on what pairs are doing. Especially now I'm not so focused on GU. I feel like that will be a lot easier for me to do just on a morning. So I may drop one in there in the morning. But as it stands, that is what we're looking at for the week ahead. And yeah, guys, drop in the comments if you would like to see me analyse any other pairs. And if you have any questions, of course, drop a comment below. I will leave the link to the community below. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I feel like this is the most in-depth breakdown I have done in a while. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. And yeah, come back next week.